get all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
Ghastly greetings, groovy ghoulies. Jumped the gun there, a little premature. Welcome to another edition of the Midnight Black Mass. It is October what the fuck is it, the 9th?
Yep.
And so, Halloween celebrations in full effect. That's all really cool. Glad to be back here on the air this week before yet another break, as both myself and Fast Eddie Layne will be on vacation next Monday. So check out the archives then. But I am your host, the maniacal minister of the occult, as you know, the Reverend Dan Dragon Wilson, and glad to be back here with you on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. Want to introduce my co-hosts, of course, the self-proclaimed one-man gangbang. I can't say that without laughing. Andrew Alexander, how's it going?
I've only prematurely jumped the gun. Actually, one time. I just couldn't explain it. It was like every time I got with this chick, she had magical pussy. It was just, I could not give a great performance. It is so weird because, I'd been with more attractive girls and just it was just a weird, wild situation. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll get another chance at bat, see if I can redeem myself. She seemed to like it, but oh well.
You knew you had a better performance in you, is what you're saying.
Oh, man, if I had a nickel for every time I went out and knew I had a better performance, shit, I wouldn't be talking to you jokers.
Every Superman has his kryptonite. And introducing...
It's always the good ones, too. You get with some second-rate slut, man, you'll knock that shit out of the park, but you get with some prime cut WrestleMania main event level top shelf pussy, and you'll just be like, oh, every time.
And introducing our second co-host, enjoying his fine life in retirement now, the strong style psycho Tank. How's it going, man?
What's going on, guys? Had technical difficulties a couple weeks ago, but hopefully everything will be okay. And as far as premature ejaculation, I am the king of that shit. So let's talk, boys.
And we have a special guest joining the show tonight. You hear from him quite a bit here on the program, usually towards the end, but you hear him all over the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. And now he's here on the Midnight Black Mass, the founder of Beyond Ringside, Fast Eddie Layne. How's it going, man?
Well, I treat sex kind of like I do voting. I wait every 4 years, and then I come early and come often.
God damn.
Well, off to a sticky start here on the Midnight Black Mass. So lots of crazy topics. Not to start out with a bummer, but God, it's been about a bummer of a couple of weeks, hasn't it? First a horrible mass shooting event, that never puts anybody in a good mood. And then, of course, Tom Petty dies, which is fucking horrible. And, talk about Tom Petty, and then, then Lance Russell dies as well. So, two major influences from a lot of people's childhoods, including mine. Not people that you knew personally necessarily, but, a big part of your life nonetheless. Gentlemen.
Go ahead, Tank.
Yeah, especially, those both hit pretty hard. And the mass shooting really fucked me up because I was at a festival in Louisville, Kentucky the same weekend, and we had just left, and I was looking on Facebook and Twitter, and they were talking about this shooting, and I was like, what the fuck? And I looked it all up, and so it was a country festival in Las Vegas, and I'm like, I was just at a festival with 30,000 people there, and like, it's just scary that shit could happen there too. There's no buildings around these campgrounds, but still, there's always some crazy asshole that can sneak some shit in there and do some damage. And then
what the fuck?
And then the fucking Tom Petty, me and Alexander, we were lucky enough to see him back in April or May, whatever it was. And I think I even said, man, we need to go see this guy because it might be our last time ever get a chance to see him. I feel like shit for saying that because the man passed away. And then Lance Russell, as a kid, watching Memphis wrestling, you don't really know how great he was. He was just like a bumbling old man, it seems like. But then you got older and learned the business and the announcers, and you were like, man, he was fucking great. And yeah, it was a real fucked up week.
Yeah, the Tom Petty thing, that definitely sucked because, he's somebody that I just wouldn't listen to all the time, but anytime I did, you wouldn't skip the song, and you'd remember, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I need to listen to Tom Petty more often. Somebody I grew up on, and I was so glad that we went to see him in concert, because I've missed out on a couple here and there that, you wait and wait and wait, and then something like this happens, and you never get to experience that. And Lance Russell, I feel that he might be the most underrated of the guys that weren't on a huge national level like Jim Ross, and even Gordon Soley had some, national exposure. Guys like that. I think Lance Russell is kind of the most underrated. And I listen to Jerry Lawler's podcast every week. And I was just thinking the other week that it's a shame that this guy should be in the WWE Hall of Fame, and he really may not ever get to be in there just because of kind of the way they do things and things such as that. And I mean, now he may, but it just sucks that he couldn't be there because he was still in good health. The way he died was very tragic. It wasn't poor health or anything like that. So that's a huge shame for sure. In the Vegas thing, man, I just don't. I don't get people. I don't get it. Like, man, I get murdering somebody. Like, if you know somebody and they pissed you off and you just strangle the life out of them, I get that. But to just go, hey, I'm going to go shoot 500 people today, like, it just makes no sense whatsoever. And the fact that this guy got these weapons in the hotel room, and I'm not a political guy, I'm not a gun guy, and I don't care if people have guns, but goddamn, they got to do something, man, because this guy bought, I think he bought several of these guns in the last week or last month, something along those lines, very quickly. There should be some red flags that pop up or something. I mean, I don't know. There's just got to be some way to get this shit a little bit under control. Fuck.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then they always, these mass shooters or, they do these acts and they always off themselves. Fucking have the goddamn balls to fucking fight the goddamn cops fix to come in or to stand fucking trial. That's the thing. They always want to fucking shoot themselves in the head and get it over with. I mean, I was kind of hoping they said, yeah, the cops came in, they shot him. I'd have been much cooler with that, but this asshole killed himself. And it was just like, what the fuck? Yeah, it was, and like I said, leaving a festival and then this going on at the same time is just like fucking scary.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, like that just sucks all the way around. Again, another one. And it's like, oh, what? It's like the next one is always the worst in history. It's like, oh, that's great. Keep breaking those records, USA. Way to go. Yeah, like, what the fuck is wrong with people? I don't know. And like with you, Andrew, I understand people's, support of the Second Amendment and want to be able to have those guns. But, and I'm not saying they need to come like confiscate this shit or nothing, but there's no easy answers here. But obviously, I mean, you got to do something, maybe as a token, like something. I don't know. It's not something I want to get into because I'm not political either, But I really, because the way I always think about politics is none of those motherfuckers give a fuck about you. For real, they're just pandering for votes. So I don't like to get into those discussions because whatever, you believe whatever you want politically. Like we can all be friends. That's no issue to me. But yeah, the gun thing. I mean, the shooting thing sucked, and of course, just like it's happened at a lot of concerts lately. Hell, we just went to a concert last Friday. I took my wife to see Kesha, who is like her all-time favorite, and it was Ariana Grande in the UK where that somebody set off a bomb at her fucking concert. Like you can't go nowhere, but you can't stay in your fucking house either because fuck those motherfuckers.
Man, I bet these women at the Kesha concert saw you come and thought, "Oh shit, there's a mass shooter."
Shit.
And I like how you say you took your wife to Kesha. More like your wife took you to see Kesha.
Yeah, she did actually. That's a big secret.
Yeah, man.
We met her. She was really cool. It was fun. It was a good time.
That's cool.
What was like the one thing I thought was cool at the Loud and Life Festival that me and my wife went to? We went with Bobby Moore and his girlfriend, and Ozzy headlined Saturday night. It was cool as fuck to see Ozzy. He's 68 years old, kind of like Tom Petty. You're just like, you don't know when that might be your last time fucking seeing this guy. And I noticed there was more kids there this year than I've ever seen at this festival. I told Kim, I'm thinking it's these parents who brought their kids to see Ozzy because they probably won't be able to see him again. They were like, we want you to see Ozzy one fucking time before he passes away or you get out of this bullshit. I was listening to somebody, music brings people together. And like, as far as the festival, I like the festival scenes. I think they're pretty cool. But then you got an asshole who wants to unload and shoot a bunch of people for no fucking reason also. So it's just, it fucking sucks, man.
Yeah. No feel-good stories coming out of that, except for the one dude who was just, like, drunk off his ass standing there flipping the bird.
Dude, that guy was fucking awesome. That guy was fucking awesome. Like, I thought that was fake. I was like, man, that shit ain't real. And then people was like, no, I think it's real. So if that's real, that dude is just the biggest badass ever. He's like, fuck you.
Yeah, man, this dude needs to be a fucking American icon. And I did see the video of every time the bullets were flying, he wouldn't kneel down. He would just, like, bend over, and then he'd raise back up and flip the fucker off. And you'd hear, another flurry. He'd just bend over, stand back up, and flip off the dude. I was like, yeah, this dude's crazy as hell.
Oh, I didn't see a video, man. I just saw a picture. That sounds amazing.
Oh, yeah, there's a video of it. Just YouTube it. It's on there.
Dude, I don't know what my reaction would be if I was in something like that, but I promise you it ain't standing up and flipping the motherfucker off.
I'd say this guy probably had he was holding a tall boy Bud Light. There ain't no telling how many of those he had throughout the day. Yeah,
he's probably in that drunk zone.
Yeah,
you get in that drunk zone where it's like like you almost feel like you have superpowers because like time slows down. He was like the fucking Flash, in and out. But yeah,
like big groups of people like that, drunk people really get on my nerves. And you're going to and counted them. 'Cause that's what people do. They go to these festivals and they drink. And at the festival we were at, man, you talk about some drunk motherfuckers. God damn. It was some funny shit. This one guy, we camped out, and there was a dude that came up close, and like there was these girls with a tent next to us, and this guy pissed all over their tent, and then he fucking passed out and fell on top of it. And I've got pictures. I took pictures of this drunk bastard.
Damn.
And Kim's like, the nerve she is like, I'm looking for a Sharpie to draw a dick on this guy's face. And she's like, we got to make sure he's breathing. I was like, fuck this guy. Let's draw shit all over his face. But, yeah. another funny story. The Friday night, like I said, we camped out. I'm not the big camping type. So we got our big fucking tent. And, of course, I got like this king-size fucking air mattress because I'm a bitch. I'm not going to sleep on the ground. Well, it was fucking freezing. And I was trying to move over. And I let out this fucking hellacious fart at 1:30 in the morning. And the girls in the tent next to us goes, oh, my God, did you hear that fart? And I'm fucking laughing. And this one guy goes, who did that? And she goes, I think the people next to us. And the guy goes, no, I think it's Tom. I guess the guy that was with them. Man, I was fucking rolling, man. 'Cause this fart, it goddamn shook our tent. I was like, oh, my God.
Score! Touchdown, Tank!
You have to ask Kim about it. It was fucking classic. So other than that, we had a pay-per-view last night.
I'm gonna need therapy after this.
Hang the fuck on. I'm still trying to catch my breath, laughing over your fucking fart. And if Vince McMahon was here, what would he say, Andrew?
Enough of the fucking fart.
But hey, I didn't like so. First of all, Tom Petty, real quick, like also a big part of my life. Would have liked to have gone to that concert as well, but you two asshole fucking dickholes didn't invite me. So thanks.
Well, Kesha wasn't opening, so we knew you wouldn't go.
God damn.
You motherfucker. So yeah, he was like to me like one of those artists that like you discovered like before you got into the evils of heavy metal, but it was kind of like a gateway drug. It was like some semi-safe rock and roll that your parents was like, oh yeah, I listen to fucking Tom Petty. You can listen to Tom Petty, sure. But then it like leads you to discover heavier things. So Tom Petty was always like a constant in my life and in my musical rotation. Sometimes I just want to chill, like put on some TP, and who can forget his? Say what?
No. I was about to say, yeah, just fucking sit back and just chill out. Listen to him. That's how it was at the show. Just nobody. There was a little bit of weed smoking going on, and everybody just chilling the fuck out. And Lucas singing every word to every fucking song.
There was these two. There was this like preppy. I think we might have. I think we talked about it on the podcast. There was this like super preppy dude. I feel that he was there with his sister. I think. I don't know. It was kind of weird. But then there were these two gay guys, and I'd say they were gay guys just because it's important, because they were the gay guys that were like, they were dressed like, just normal concert goers, but they were very like flamboyantly gay, which nothing wrong with that, but it's just funny because somebody behind them was smoking weed, and this preppy dude thought it was the two gay dudes, so he turns around and grabs the gay dude, and the gay dudes are like, well, fuck you, and they start like cussing him out, waving their finger and stuff, and it was funny as fuck because it was like 2 feet.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they were right beside me, and I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna have to break this shit up."
Yeah, it was a very entertaining thing. So, what's your favorite Tom Petty song?
Who, me?
And both of you.
Fuck.
Oh man. The Waiting is my favorite Tom Petty song.
Oh, okay.
Good song.
That's a different choice.
A lot of people love The Waiting. Oh, go ahead, Hank.
Oh, no, I was about to say The Waiting, American Girl. I liked a lot of his shit before, you know, when he got kind of crazy with the fucking Alice in Wonderland shit. Refugee, you know, the song with Stevie Nicks is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I love Stevie Nicks. Stop Dragging My Heart Around. I think Refugee is my favorite Tom Petty song. It's a very tough choice. I do love that one. But so many, man. Who didn't have? I bet if you ask people what greatest hits album they have, the number one answer would be Tom Petty, because that Tom Petty greatest hit, just that motherfucker must have went platinum or something. I mean, it was everywhere.
Oh yeah, everybody had that shit. But yeah, Refugee is like one of his heaviest songs for sure. It's always a favorite. Breakdown's a fucking good jam. I liked really like his stuff from the 90s was good. Like Full Moon Fever was a badass album, and the Traveling Wilbury stuff was good. And fucking Wildflowers I thought was a fucking awesome album. Actually, my favorite Tom Petty song, it might be fucking You Don't Know How It Feels, or it might also be Southern Accents. That's a badass fucking song.
Yeah, he was like that concert was just like the greatest hits album. You know, I think he had released a new album. He did a couple songs off it. And the rest of it was just like the good shit. And I know I'm quite a bit older than you guys. I don't know about how old Fast Eddie is, but the first time I ever saw Tom Petty was on the Mike Douglas show. 78, 79-ish. And he actually did Refugee live on the Mike Douglas show. I do recall that was the first time I'd ever seen him. And my dad liked him. And then we had the fucking 8-track, which I didn't know we had. So I was like, oh shit, we got an 8-track of this. So I jammed that shit all the fucking time. And then I saw Kiss. I was like, and then I became a metalhead because the Kiss Destroyer album.
Yeah, my mom had Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, and then also Damn the Torpedoes on vinyl when I was a kid. So we used to jam those a lot. And then, like, Full Moon Fever came out when my sister was a kid. And, I mean, I was a kid too, but she was like, 5 or some shit. And so, like the age where you mispronounce words. So it was like a running gag in our house, the way she would mispronounce Tom Petty songs, because there was the Walk Back Down and Running Down the Drain, were inside jokes in our family for years, all because of Tom Petty. So, yeah, it was definitely a huge loss. Eddie, I know you've seen a lot of concerts, been involved in a lot of radio and around musical acts and things like that. Like, you got some Tom Petty memories?
Petty was always a great performer, and in my book, he's always going to be underrated because they didn't do all the pyro, they didn't do all the grandiose grandstanding, to just use the word grand twice in one sentence for every reason possible. But they put out damn good music. And this was stuff that could appeal to so many different people. I mean, it's like in 2017, everything is so niched now. Whereas I knew people who were into great R&B, but they loved Tom Petty. They loved 50s, 60s doo-wop. They loved Tom Petty. They loved classical. They loved Tom Petty. It was a constant. People like Tom Petty, Bob Dylan, John Cougar Mellencamp, you have those that are never going to get the due that they deserve and they've worked for unless they were in that top 5 of your personal bracket. Breakdown's one of my favorite tracks. And I know I've still got 2 albums of his on vinyl. Everything else is CD. And now MP3 since I moved it over to the computer. It's just when that hit and it's like, wait a minute, they're announcing he's in the hospital. They're announcing they've announced that they're pulling life support. And that's when I'm sitting back going, damn it. Because 2017 can just kiss my ever-loving ass. I mean, whether it be Petty, Monty Hall, Hugh Hefner, all the major losses, including one from this past weekend that a lot of people kind of slept. Stand-up superstar Ralphie May passed away. And I started following his career back on Last Comic Standing Season 1. Had a chance to watch him here in Birmingham Stardome. Tremendous performer. Relied a lot on certain styles of humor. Does work blue, but also work clean. And just, I really appreciated his work. But coming back over to Petty, you know, he, in my book, is epitomized by 2 words: grassroots. It doesn't have to be flashy. It doesn't have to be kaboom, kaboom, fire going off and everything else. All you have to do is understand and appreciate music. And 9 times out of 10, you become a fan of Tom Petty. And I always give him credit, and I always will, because there's the line from Mary Jane's Last Dance that I adopted many, many years ago. People ask me, why do I work as hard as I do? Why do I work as much as I do? Why do I not take time off like I need to? Easy. Verse 2. You never slow down, you never grow old. Rev?
Hell yeah. So rest in peace, TP. Also, we would, I'm a big, gigantic King of the Hill mark. And his performance as Lucky on King of the Hill was fucking legendary. So cheers to Tom Petty. And may you all slip on PP at the Costco and get you a settlement. But also, Lance Russell, just real quick, huge influence of mine. But, so many. Like, he was one of the most beloved people in the history of wrestling. Same with Bobby Heenan. Like, there's not a lot I can add that people who knew Lance better, who were even more familiar with his work, although I'm pretty damn familiar. I've watched as much of Memphis as probably anybody, but just like, you're one of the icons of wrestling to me. Like, I got one autograph hanging in my office, and it's Lance Russell. I have a Terry Funk autograph too, full disclosure, but it's not hanging up at the moment because I'm looking for a new way to display it. But so the only autograph I have hanging in my office is Lance Russell. I got to, I didn't say get to know him, but I befriended him on Facebook in the last few years of his life, and he was very friendly and always very generous with his time to chat. A good dude, a legend. Just there'll never be another guy like him. Like Cornette did a great episode of his podcast in tribute to Lance Russell, just talking about how he came up through television and then kind of transitioned over to wrestling based on an opportunity there. And, how that whole thing never really would have worked without the announcers because they were the local celebrities there in Memphis. They saw Lance Russell on the news every day. They saw Dave Brown every day doing the weather. So when you put them on the wrestling, it immediately gives them a credibility that every single other regional territory doesn't have. And they maintained the credibility even at its most ridiculous that Memphis could sometimes be. Those guys kept it grounded. So nothing but love and respect to Lance Russell.
Oh yeah, man. Going back and watching some old Memphis whenever Lawler was heel, and the way they would just go back and forth with each other, and Lawler would just slap the shit out of somebody, and Lance would just be like, "Oh, come on, Jerry, leave him alone." You can't beat that shit,
Yeah, no, it's still kind of in shock from that. I mean, 91 years old, hell of a life. But like Andrew said, he was really in good health at 91 up until an unfortunate series of events that then he spiraled quickly, and that always sucks. But what a life, what a guy. Cheers to the man, Lance Russell. So we got about half an hour left in the show, and I know Eddie had a couple of pretty cool questions, I thought, that that have been running themes this week on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. So I thought I'd let him have a moment here.
As it pertains with all 4 of us being in the business to a great degree in various capacities, I don't know, to a great degree. Hell, we're all four in the business still. Even if Tank is retired, he's still part of the business. Lo and behold, things are so fickle nowadays to where, on a personal note, some things can lose relevance very quickly, whether it be personal or professional. But in 2017, the question that I've been bringing out this week is, how do you keep professional wrestling relevant in your life, and in what way is it most relevant? Rev?
Oh, well, shit, man. That's a really good question, because at my age in the business, you know, I'm looking and I'm almost like the last of the Mohicans as far as the guys that broke into the business with me. There's not really many of us left at all. And so, but I'm still out here, still doing it. How is it relevant in my life? I mean, it's still an important part of my life, but I'd say much less so than previous years. That doesn't mean I give a half-assed effort at what I'm doing, but I'm just looking ahead now and not behind. So knowing that my days are numbered kind of lights a bit of a fire under my ass, but, you know, you still run into the same shit with wrestling that gets you fucking annoyed and depressed, and you know it's a never-ending cycle until you're done. But you do it all for those fleeting moments of it being fucking great, and you know, so I'm still loving what I'm doing, but you know I'm seeing the end in the horizon, and you know right now it's important to me as a release. You know, it, like for a lot of us, it kind of gives us identity. And so when we start to put that in the closet, so to speak, you know, you struggle with that identity going away. So, you know, you got to do some self-discovery, I think. But yeah, for me, I mean, it's always going to be a part of my life. My interest in watching it as a fan certainly goes up and down. It ebbs and flows. Like I always say here on the show, when fall television returns, my time allotted for watching wrestling is a lot less. I usually watch a lot during the summer. But, you know, because I'm involved in it to such a degree, it's still a pretty big part of my life. I still spend most of my waking hours involved in wrestling at some level. So I think that's my answer. Like I said, I see the end on the horizon, so I'm trying to appreciate what I have left, and you know, leave a lasting contribution. But right now, like, you know, family is kind of the most important thing in my life.
Andrew.
Yeah, that thing he said about the whole identity thing, that's about the smartest statement I've ever seen. That I heard that some bitch say, probably. Because yeah, you kind of sacrifice who you are. At least I think you do when you sign up to be a pro wrestler. But as far as my personal life, I don't consider myself in the business at all. The only two things that attach me to the business is this podcast and the Pro Wrestling Super Shop located on aisle 7 of the I-75 flea market. Just stop by on the weekends. It's a nice place. And that is different because it's fun, because I get to kind of be a fan again. And obviously I get some people that come in that they say things about wrestling that do make you roll your eyes. But I do get other fans that come in and they're very knowledgeable and they'll talk about old school stuff and different things. And then I get kids that come in. It's so cool seeing, you know, very small children doing impersonations of Finn Balor and shit like this. So that's entertaining to me, and it's really cool. Plus, it's been pretty successful for me. It was one of the smartest investments I've ever made, and I have it gives me goals, and I have things that may never even be able to be accomplished with it, but it's something I get to work for, and gives me something to do instead of just sitting around and being lazy, because I try to keep myself a lot more busy these days. So that's kind of a big personal effect. If not for that, it would just be the podcast, which is just us bitching for an hour a week. So I don't think that really counts as a huge chunk of our life devoted to wrestling. I watch, but I don't go out of my way to watch anything. If it's not on Hulu, aka the WWE, I'm not going to watch it. And even then, sometimes it's hard to squeeze it in, especially like Dan said, with fall TV coming back and everything. It's not top priority like it used to be. But I'm still a fan. I still enjoy it. Every now and then you see something really good and it gets you excited, but there is a lot of stuff that's kind of like, yeah, this again. I've seen this before. I mean, it's tough because watching wrestling for 20, now at this point, probably about 28 years, I've seen quite a bit. So it's hard to stay as entertained now.
Tank?
Oh. Well, it's really, last night was the first night that I didn't have to work on a Sunday. I'm going to sit, I'm going to watch this whole pay-per-view. And I watched the first match, part of the second match, and I cut the shit off and went and played with my children. And then they went to bed, so I went back down and caught the last Hell in a Cell match. It's just, I always thought, I mean, I'm always going to be a fan, but I'm just not as big a fan as I thought I would be after I got out of the business. I'll go back and watch some old stuff. YouTube's my favorite thing in the world as far as wrestling. I watch good shit. I watch terrible stuff, and I don't know. Talking to you guys once a week, that's about the most relevant thing I do as far as wrestling. I'll sit and make fun of people on Facebook because they still do stupid shit. I'll call people out on stuff. But I don't know. It's just I always thought that I'm gonna quit and I'll still be like the biggest fan ever. And 2 months is I'm done. I just don't feel it. I just don't feel that way about it. It's just hard to sit and watch. I don't know. It's really hard. Like going to the Wild Side reunion show. It had only been a month or so after I'd been, done, quit the business. You don't know how bad I wanted to just bring my shit and get dressed and go fucking do a match. But I said, nah, I can't do that shit because I told myself I was done. So maybe if I just stay away from it for a little while longer. Like I said, I just like sitting and watching it. This ain't what it used to be.
I mean, I think sometimes you need a break.
Yeah. I mean, I've watched it since I was 9 years old. And I still love it. Don't get me wrong. I still love professional wrestling. It's just, it's not my number one priority anymore. And that was a part of my problem being an active wrestler is I was putting the wrestling in front of my family. And that's where I was fucking up for a lot of those years. So I have to get back to them before I can get back to wrestling.
Yeah, and I think just taking a break sometimes does your mind good because you get so into like wrestling is such like it's a suctionary medium, like it sucks you in, and once you go, there's usually no such thing as a little bit. You want to get involved a little bit, but like that was I was pretty much, I don't say done, but I was taking just very limited bookings. From the time my daughter was born until about, she turned about 4 or 5. And I did some stuff here locally with Empire Wrestling here near the Chattanooga area in that time. And, that kind of scratched the itch. But after that was done, like, I was totally cool with having a break. And then not a couple weeks fucking later, I got offered a booking job that I took that I didn't really want to take, and that I almost quit several times. And then, finally things turned around down there, and I actually began enjoying my work there, and it still am now. But, taking a break is just good for your mental well-being, just to disconnect from the whole world of wrestling for a while and find a new passion. I mean, obviously family is the number one priority for both of us. But I kind of rediscovered my love of comics one time when I was on a kind of a wrestling hiatus, and it just allows me like time to get into other shit, which enriches my life a little bit as opposed to wrestling, which is such a roller coaster.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know we were throwing on that one.
Yeah.
Let me go. I'll pop this second question real quick. You finally get that moment, the match the match that is going to be monumental in your career. The promoter tells you, "I want you to drive your dream car to ringside for this match for your entrance." What is that vehicle going to be? Rev.
A fucking 76 Gremlin. Like, I'm not a car guy at all, so I'm not even going to try to pretend like I know what I'm talking about. Like, I see something that I think look cool, and that's awesome, but I'm not like a gearhead like most dudes. Like, I guess it makes me less manly, but go fuck yourself. I don't care. But it would have to be one of those, like, classic 50s, like, long black Cadillacs, like, that the all of the musicians at the time drove. Your Johnny Cashes and your Elvis Presleys and your Jerry Lee Lewis's, etc.
Andrew.
Did Dan say a long black Cadillac or a slick black Cadillac? That's an obscure.
I said
Riot
a long black
right
Cadillac,
That's an
motherfucker.
obscure Quiet Riot reference. Yeah, I don't know shit about cars. My dream vehicle to drive me to the ring would be one of those sweet ass carts that they used at WrestleMania 3 and WrestleMania 6.
Oh yeah.
Tank.
After thinking long and hard about it, I wanna come out in a goddamn Christine, the Stephen King car.
Ooh, yes.
With goddamn Honky Tonk Man and Greg Valentine as rhythm and blues in the back seat. I think that'd be awesome.
I'll cheat because I don't remember the model right off the top of my head. I just had a brain fart. The Matrix. I'll leave it at that. Suicide Doors.
There you go.
It's where everybody's going to remember it from anyway. Hell. Rev?
Fuck. Where do I even go from there? Like I don't know who my fucking opponent would be because I'm not a wrestler, so I guess it would be bad decisions.
I didn't know we were picking opponents in this one. I just said the car.
No, I want rhythm and blues with me in the car, and we're gonna do a 6-man against fucking Coco Beware, Nails, and Danny Davis.
There you go. You got Strikes, Pipes, and the Bird.
Yeah, that's my
Nightmare Danny Davis or Referee Danny Davis?
referee, Danny Davis.
Hell yeah.
Oh, shit.
Oh, I did hear. I don't know. Somebody had told me earlier tonight that the Punisher series has been pushed back because of that Las Vegas bullshit. Have y'all heard any of this stuff?
No.
I have heard. Yes, I have heard this rumor.
I
I heard
heard
they were
that
going to debut it. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'd heard they were going to like bust it out next Friday, Friday the 13th. But I guess it's been pushed back. They didn't even do a Punisher panel at Comic-Con this weekend in New York. I was like, well, that fucking sucks. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I heard about the Comic-Con issue. I didn't know the series itself had been pushed back. That's really weird because they're saying it's coming this year, but they haven't said any sort of date. But fuck, I would have been super excited to have that Friday the 13th because I'm very much looking forward to that shit. I've been I don't know. I haven't been as. I'm trying to get a little more pumped now because Thor's really close, but I haven't been as pumped about the Marvel stuff because, and I mean, I love that shit. I mean, somebody was talking about football, and I was like, fuck, I wish I was that passionate about anything. And they said, well, what are you close? What are you passionate about? And I was like, I like those fucking Marvel movies. But, man, I've been watching that in Humans, and that shit just is not very good to me. And, you know, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. last season just didn't excite me too much, and been busy with stuff, and there's been a little bit of a break since Spider-Man, so I'm trying to get that excitement back, and Punisher definitely could have helped do that because I'm super excited about that shit.
Oh, it's going to be fantastic. Yeah, I'm really stoked about it whenever it does come out. I thought the first episode of Inhumans was good. I'm not caught up, but I definitely see where it could go down a rabbit hole pretty quickly. Like I've not been impressed with their TV offerings on ABC. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. sucked. Agent Carter I thought was pretty good, but I really haven't liked Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. since like the first season. But The Gifted on Fox was really badass. That's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, I checked that out. I mean,
I hadn't watched it.
I just tried to do a fucking straight up X-Men show.
Yeah, I tried watching Inhumans. I DVR'd it when I was gone, and I turned it on. I saw the chick laying in bed and her hair fucking moving around. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? I turned it off thinking this is going to be pretty stupid. I just want to watch it for that big-ass dog.
That surprises no one.
Yeah, I just want to see the big fucking dogs. Teleport motherfuckers everywhere.
It's, speaking of fall TV, boy, there's been plenty of it. I was a little disappointed to hear Ash vs. Evil Dead got bumped up to February. So that's not coming back, but there's plenty of other stuff in the can. Cinemax has a new show called Tales from the Tour Bus that is an absolute must-watch by the famous Mike Judge of Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill and Office Space and Idiocracy and a million other legendary things fame. And it's about like the wild stories of outlaw country music, and he basically animates them and interviews the people that live them, and their interviews, tell the story while he animates the story as it's happening. And so far, we've gotten Johnny Paycheck and Jerry Lee Lewis, and there was another fucking really good one this past week. Oh, not Conway Twitty, George Jones and Tammy Wynette. That shit was awesome. Definitely worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch. Like, there's a whole story of, when George got his license taken away or whatever, so he drove his fucking John Deere tractor to the liquor store, and Tammy come and chased him down in the car, and like, had her head out the window, cussing him like a dog, and he was just no-selling her. And went on to the liquor store and got his booze on his fucking John Deere riding mower.
Is it like an hour or 30 minutes or?
It's like 45 minutes.
I just want to check it out.
So,
definitely.
I was falling asleep towards the end of last night's pay-per-view, but I woke up and I was trying my best to get through it and stuff. But I don't know, man. That Hell in the Cell shit. I mean, when's enough? Like, they started doing these big bumps. I mean, the pop-up powerbomb on top of the cage, and if that shit would have broke, that's just the most unsafe shit ever, in my opinion. And then the jumping off the cage through the table, shit, man, doing that again. And you see the landing. I mean, I don't care if they got a crash pad or they got that thing's made of the softest foam ever. That's a fucking fall. Like, there's no way that he's not hurt or, I mean, that's just so dangerous. I'm just waiting for somebody to pull out a gun and shoot somebody in the fucking head and kick out at 2.
Yeah. I think the whole Sami Zayn thing was kind of fucked up. Well, not fucked up. I just thought it was kind of weird how that just came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I kind of thought that might happen actually, but
Oh, did you? I hadn't really kept up with it, so I didn't know.
Yeah, there wasn't really scenes, but he's been involved a little bit. I mean, I'll be curious to see where they go with it, but yeah, I definitely thought that was going to happen. I was actually 100%. A friend of mine asked me who I called in all the matches, and I just picked the winners. I was 100% last night. Pretty proud of that. Should have laid some money on the fucking line. And speaking of wrestling things, I was just keeping up with what's happened on Raw tonight. So it looks, I guess, Sister Abigail's soul lives within Bray Wyatt, and now he's doing promos in drag.
What?
Okay.
God damn.
And that's the type of thing that, man, on paper it does sound fucking ridiculous, but somehow, some way, it could be a cool thing, but you know it's not going to be for various reasons. But yeah, that's what it appears. He's Sister Abigail as well, I guess. I don't know. Someone asked me about Sister Abigail today, and I said, I wish that at WrestleMania, instead of throwing some fucking maggot using a projector, that Randy Orton would have been setting up for the RKO on the mat, punching the shit, and then like a head would have just popped out from the ring, like old school Undertaker style, and it would be the chick, and she would kind of have a girl from the Ring, you know, the Ring, the movie look, all scary as fuck and shit, and distracted Randy Orton. And this person I said this to was like, I don't know, that's kind of far-fetched. And I said, they put fucking maggots on the ring via projector. Like, that's no more far-fetched than that. And she goes, oh, okay, I guess you're right. I was like, you're damn right I'm right.
God damn.
Yeah, I really don't know what to say about that. I mean, you know, Bray's a talented performer. I'm sure he can pull it off, but he always seems to get saddled with those things that they're like, well, we could have done this with The Undertaker, but we didn't have the technology. And you have to think, man, if they had the technology, then would The Undertaker have been as awesome as he was? Because, you know, anytime they tried to do, like, anything over a certain line of supernatural hokiness, it really came off terribly. And unfortunately, like, I mean, like, there's a way you can do the stuff that's subtle. And, you know, as I always say, who be it for me to tell a multi-million-dollar company what to do? But, you know, I just don't, like, I don't feel like it necessarily captures the vibe they're going for. I think, you know, A for effort, but I think if you dialed it back a little, you'd have a probably greater effect, just my opinion.
I did read where, I guess the main event of TLC is going to be the Shield against The Miz and Cesaro and Sheamus in a TLC match.
Yeah, they may get Braun Strowman in that. Poor fucking Curtis Axel and Bo Dallas. You're the fucking Miztourage, you're hanging out, and then it comes big pay-per-view time, get a big payday, and they're like, nope.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, you know, what about them motherfuckers? They're the ones that takes the ass beatings every fucking week. Hell, get them in the match.
Yeah, man, wrestling is not, it is not fair by any means.
No, actually, it's not.
No, not in the least.
Well, shit, guys, we got to take a minute. What are we going to talk about?
I don't know. I'm out of shit. So you take the lead.
Dan, tell us about you taking an ass whooping at Anarchy a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah. I guess I haven't really addressed that on the show. I mean, it was a clothesline. I wouldn't necessarily call it an ass whooping, though he did knock my dick in the dirt pretty good. He tried to do more, but thanks to Jacob Ashworth, he did not. So, Brad Cash and I had a falling out recently. After he lost to you and you retired, he just went off fucking deep end. He was out there crying and shit. And so, me and Seven came a few weeks ago and tried to get him back on the right path, and he just snapped and attacked Seven and shoved me down. And so I suspended him for 30 days. He served his suspension. He came back. I go in the ring to interview him after he gets a big win. And, just like, all right, let's be professional and do this fucking TV interview, Tell us about what your plans are, Brad. And, he gets all fucking up in my face and shit and starts talking about, how I'm not going to just pretend like everything's cool. And he started talking all this gibberish, and then he clotheslined me off my ass. And then he dragged me over to the ropes and pulled out the old pizza cutter and was about to cut me ear hole to asshole. And Jacob Ashworth came out and made the save. So I fired him.
Awesome. That little boy's gone batshit crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what his fucking deal is, but he can take that shit elsewhere. Like, I love having a madman around, but I guess when you play with fire, you get burnt. So sometimes what you see behind the scenes and in front of the camera can become one and the same. I was probably accused of believing my own bullshit a time or two. I don't think I ever took it that far. Well, I mean, we did try to take over the whole company and threaten to burn it down if we won the fucking war games that time. So I don't know, but anyway, he's fucking fired. And moving on, Anarchy returns October 14th for a big TV taping. Cyrus the Destroyer versus Gunnar Miller in a big rematch. No DQ, no count out for the Anarchy Triple Crown Championship. The belt that Gunnar Miller and Jeff G. Baylor called the Anarchy Real Worlds Championship. And they've been calling out Matt Riddle for weeks with no response. Yet NCW, the sister promotion of Anarchy, has announced Matt Riddle will be coming in on Friday, December 22nd to face Austin Theory. So, of course, Jeff G. Bailey has blown a fucking gasket. You're going to hear about that on October the 14th, as well as got a big Fright Night coming up on October the 28th. You're going to see all of the final setup. That'll feature Jacob Ashworth versus Gunnar Miller in a steel cage match. We're going to find out on the 14th what's going to happen with the tag team titles. Still no definitive number one contender. I will not be there, not because I'm licking my wounds, but I'm actually going on vacation to get away from all these motherfuckers for a while. You go to work and get your ass beat. You might want to take a vacation. So I'm taking my wife to Orlando for Halloween Horror Nights again to celebrate our anniversary, and going to do it up big. But you should definitely be there in Cornelia. Going to be a big night. Harlow O'Hara returns to take on Roxy for the Women's Championship. Kyle Matthews defends the Heritage title against Corey Hollis. Jacob Ashworth going to be in action. Billy Buck against Torque. AJ Gray against Jeremy Foster. Big night of action in Cornelia, Georgia on October the 14th. Follow us on social media at Anarchy Landmark on Twitter and at Facebook.com/Anarchy Wrestling. You can also watch us on Powerbomb.tv, $9.99 a month. Wrestling from all over the world, some major promotions, Beyond Wrestling, Black Label Pro, C4 in Canada, a whole lot of big acquisitions for Powerbomb TV in the last month. If you use promo code Anarchy, you get 20 days free. So don't say I never did nothing for you.
Speaking of Powerbomb TV, I looked last night, and they added 22 on-point wrestling shows, and the deathmatch tournament I did, the Survival of the Sickest 2, is on there. So if you want to check out one of my last death matches, hit it up, check it out. Good shit.
Is Powerbomb TV an official sponsor of the Midnight Black Mass?
It's an unofficial sponsor.
Okay, well, I can say this then. Fuck Powerbomb TV. How the hell are you not going to call your network DDTV? I mean, shit. DDTV.
You're still on that.
Yes. Every time I hear Powerbomb TV, I'm like, nope, that's the wrong name for that shit. Come on, people. They're no selling the DDT. They're like everybody in the fucking business.
Well, now since you have created such a great idea, why don't you go start a rival company called
But I'm sick of
DDT?
fucking wrestling, and I don't want to watch it.
On that note, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Midnight Black Mass. You can follow Tank on social media at Tank_EST1996 or Warren Hollander on Facebook. Andrew is at the Pro Wrestling Super Shop and more on Facebook. Fast Eddie Layne. Give us your Twitter handles.
At Beyond Ringside, one word, run it together, or at Fast Eddie Layne, Layne. On that one, follow at your own risk.
All right, folks. Well, it was another lively edition of the program. We'll be back in 2 weeks here on the Beyond Ringside Radio Network. Happy Halloween. Keep one foot in the gutter and one fist in the gold. Good night.